Call to order this meeting of the Gunbarrel City Economic Development Corporation to be held on January the 9th, Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. at Gunbarrel City Council Chambers, 1716 West Main Street in Gunbarrel City, Texas. We hereby call the meeting to order, and roll call starting to my left.
Paul McCullough here.
Rankin here.
Roy Key here.
Damiano here.
Ligon here.
Bond here.
We have a quorum. We have no citizens' comments, so let's just blast right off into item number 2.
Are we going to bypass the pledge?
No, we need to do that.
Good try.
Good catch. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to take a moment just to say a quick prayer. Father, we just ask that you be with us as we meet together and work in your will and in your way. Father, we thank you so much. And we just ask that your continued guidance be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
We didn't know you would do that.
What did you say?
We were trying.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bond, for keeping me in line there. I absolutely was just reading over this thing.
It's a team.
Okay. First item that we're going to take up is item number 2. Discuss, take action to approve the December 12th, 2023 EDC meeting minutes, which are attached to our program. And do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 Gunbarrel City EDC, or the EDC of Gunbarrel City December minutes as presented.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, a vote to my left.
McCullough, yes.
Rankin, yes.
Key, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Ligon, yes.
Bond, yes.
Motion carries, and the December 12th, 2023 EDC meeting minutes are hereby adopted and shall be passed on to the City Council. Item number 3, discuss, take action on a marketing proposal from the retail coach. And we're going to turn this over to our illustrious leader, Dr. Smith.
Good evening, y'all. I reached out to the retail coach. We got an opportunity to partner with them. This company has done business with Gunbarrel City EDC in the past under a different name. They actually came out, they did the analysis, and I believe Chili's is a result of said agreement arrangement. Stephen had run into Aaron, who is the head of this company, at a conference. So after playing phone tag a little bit over Christmas, I was able to get in touch with him. The packet includes the brochure about what they do. I think most of you know. Basically, the retail coach comes out. They do an entire analysis. It takes about 30 days of Gunbarrel City. It includes what is our retail market, right? Because our retail market is bigger than just our boundaries and our residents. So it goes out, I think back in, maybe it was 2004 or 2005, our retail group was about 81,000 people. So it's a much larger area. They'll come out, they'll do all of that analysis for us. It's all included right there, the custom retail trade areas, the daytime population, the psychographic profiling, all of that is included in this package that they do. They'll help us with the marketing and branding, getting the flyers together. And then they go out and they work directly with these businesses to recruit them to come once we get this analysis. And it's a partnership, so the first step will take about 30 days. It's going to cost about $7,500. It's going to cost $3,750 up front. It'll cost $3,750 when they hand us the report. That report allows us to recruit because it has all the information that these big businesses want, And then they also will come back with a proposal at the end of that to help us recruit. Keep in mind, these guys work around the country. They're based out of Farmers Branch, I believe, but they work around the country doing this. And so we'll provide them, one of the things they asked me about is, Stephen and I providing them a list of every business that's available on Main Street, just a list of addresses. Because what they're best at is matching up the type of business that we need with the space that we already have or the land that we already have in high traffic areas. So what I'm looking for tonight is permission from the board to go ahead and do this. This was not a budgeted item. I believe we do have the funding available to do this report. Aaron offered to be here tonight, but he had another city. He's doing this in a couple. They had an agreement with a city very close to us, and we would have been considered a conflict of interest for the other city. But that city has now taken on their own recruiting with a lot of the information that the retail coach is doing. So they did offer to come out and help us out. So that's kind of what it is. The full packet is there. There's a lot more detail than I'm hitting. It tells you who our project team is. It tells you the scope of services. So it's a great partnership for us to begin really kicking off that recruiting while we're scheduling this workshop to get us refocused on our strategic plan and our objectives.
Just a curiosity question.
Yep.
And on my own, I went to Jersey Mike's and looked up their what they require, bare bones minimum for a franchise. And if you take Gun Barrel City, we would, population-wise, we'll never meet it. And I know Discount Tire, somebody convinced Discount Tire,
Yep.
said, look, don't go by what the population is.
Yeah.
You need to see what happens on weekends and holidays.
And
And so, also, he sold him, he said, you're not just getting Gun Barrel.
yeah.
He said, you need to look at the lake.
Yeah, and that's what this report does. I have the report that they did back in the early 2000s, and they actually look at, it's not just the population of Gun Barrel, it's the daytime population. It's the amount of traffic that they can work with TxDOT and get. It's also the market area, which isn't just Gun Barrel. It's 7 Points, it's Tool. The circle was big. I mean, it went all the way along 175 and came down, includes Enchanted Oaks and Payne Springs and almost all the way up Eustis, and it includes a lot of those other areas, which tells a much better story than, hey, our population is 6,200 people.
It makes us that Lakeplex hub.
Yes, yes.
Now,
Angie-
there's a question I have to ask, is we had that service last year. We paid for someone to do that same thing for us.
Place, sir.
Minus the recruiting part of it, going out and talking to folks. They were doing a demographic study for us.
Yeah, the telephone ping, was that Placer?
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Stephen.
Yes, last year's demographics were with Placer AI, and they do offer wonderful demographics, but that is really the scope of what they do. They can't do recruitment or anything beyond that. What makes Retail Coach a little bit different is they have a lot of partnerships with a lot of big-name businesses, and they actually do the recruitment. So they do everything that Placer does and a little bit more on top of that.
Plus just
if
the
I might
market
say something.
analysis.
Can I
They're
ask-
going to look at what do we currently have, and then look at what businesses are kind of already in their forte that they work with to bring in.
Yeah, if I might say something. Angela, thank you very much. And I'm an ex-recruiter, okay? And from everything I've read about this, the $7,500, and you said it, the $7,500 doesn't include them going out and recruiting,
Does not.
okay? And that's either our job or we hire them to do that. I do not expect you to have this answer, but do you know what that piece of the package cost?
I do not. They wanted to do the analysis first. We can use the analysis regardless. Either we can recruit with it or we can partner with them. Some other things come into the recruitment element of it. Once we have all this data, then they look at what, they don't want to charge us until they know they can help us, is really how they work. They're kind of and I know in some cases with the Retail Coach, they get paid by the business to get recruited into a town. So a lot of it plays into, once we have the information, how much do they truly believe that they can bring to Gun Barrel? Because they don't want to charge us if they can't help us. So they're not going to just charge us $20,000 and say, we might be able to help and we might not. Once they have this updated market analysis, they're going to be able to look at what spaces do we have, what is our population, what companies out there that they kind of have in their pockets or purview will be able to match with what we have before they charge us to do any of that.
So they know the businesses already who want to come into a small-town market.
They have a big portfolio of businesses that they work with.
Because, the main thing that I'll go with, smoke shops, we got plenty of.
We do, yes.
A decent Subway sandwich
Yep,
or sub sandwich, we don't.
yep.
Would we continue with Placer AI, or would we stop our contract with them and go with this company?
I will have to look at the difference in the two. I'm not 100% sure what Placer does. Go ahead.
I guess that would
What
just-
we approved was an annual thing. We didn't approve an ongoing thing with them.
Yeah,
back,
just a one-time,
Back when I first got in it. They were going to do the study.
yeah.
This is when I first came on the board. And they were going to do a study and give us some demographics to go by. And that might have been what they used to get discount tire guy. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I don't
I've
know
I've
either.
never seen the output from that thing.
I have not either. I
I'm
knew
not
that
sure
they
anybody
partnered
else
with
has seen it.
our website to provide some of that information. So we also have that link on our website that'll provide you like a community profile, and I know some of that. I think this is going to be very different than that.
Angie, can I speak just
You
a
bet.
moment? From my understanding and from my working with the retail coach before, pretty much what you get back is everything you can get out of ERSI. And ERSI is the software package that's so expensive. And at one point, we even had ERSI here, and we could get our information on a weekly, monthly basis. So what I'm thinking is what we're basically paying for is getting what's coming off of that system. I'm wondering, are they going to do anything like revenue loss or anything of that sort so we can see what we're missing out on? What besides ERSI are they going to do?
I am not sure because I don't know a lot about ERSI, to be honest with you. So I know that their goal was daytime population, the psychographic profiling, the retail demand analysis. So what do we already have and what are we missing? Again, we might not need another vape shop or smoke shop, but we definitely might need another sandwich place, or maybe we don't need pizza, but we do need something the equivalent of Applebee's, right? An Applebee's or a, Logan Steakhouse, whatever it is.
Well, one thing I would want to share with you is that in Dallas, there are a number of site selection companies like venture capital and what have you that can do the same thing. And before we lock ourselves into this, I'd sort of like to see what they would do and what their costs might be, because their reach is equally as great, and in fact, maybe better.
Okay. I'm happy to go get some other ones. This one is just one that I was very familiar with, that a lot of agencies use that, had success here. They have also had success in our neighboring city, a lot of success.
Okay.
At Woods. Tractor Supply. So
Okay, if I
they
might.
kind of were familiar with our market, which is why I went to them.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a real good point.
That's why I reached out to them specifically, is because I knew they had had a significant amount of success in a neighboring city.
Well, I was
Isn't
wondering,
much bigger than us, so
well, I know there's been another company working the Kaufman County area, especially since Forney and Terrell and all of that has been growing, and they're looking at what's expanding this way.
Yeah.
And so I just thought those folks might also have some input.
Well, to me, it sounds like they may already have looked at some of Gun Barrel if they were looking at Maybank.
Yeah.
or a surrounding city.
I just want to make sure that we don't get another golden shovel.
Well, in fairness, we have had some success with Golden Shovel recently in getting that contract and their communications, and they're now meeting with us monthly, and so
Okay.
I manage contracts a little bit differently.
And we appreciate
So-
that.
Angela,
Yeah.
I've got a question. If you say if we use their recruitment, they've got a group that they deal with and
Sure.
with businesses and stuff. Let's say we didn't recruit, we did our own recruiting, and we talked to Arby's sandwich place,
Sure.
and they're part of them.
There's no conflict of interest.
Yeah, there's no parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be where
No.
you can't do that.
As long
No,
as
no,
they
no,
don't
no.
bring it to us and we don't sign any agreement.
From my experience, I'll be real honest with everybody. From my experience, you need the professional help. It doesn't do me any good to reach out to, like Keith said, he reached out to like Jimmy John's, for example, or, Five Guys Hamburgers or whoever it is. And it's hard to give them all the information they need because they're looking at how many people drive up and down this highway. How many people are in Gun Barrel City on any given day? How many people are here at night? How many people are here on a Sunday? And
Aren't we getting that now?
I don't know that we're getting all of that information per se in a report that we can hand off, but maybe.
I think what, 'cause Stephen, we talked about this, aren't we getting like telephone pings?
We do get a telephone ping, so yes, we do get some reports, and there are some reports that I do share with prospective clients. For instance, like driving up and down Main Street, we do get the phone pings for up here down Main Street, up and down 198. And there is some overlap in what they do, but Retail Coach does offer some things that Placer cannot. Their demographics with Esri are a little bit more in-depth because they can show the different age groups and all that and the different trends that they're doing, where they're shopping, all of that jazz, whereas Placer is more of a general.
And do we know how much, was Placer a one-year program or is it an ongoing?
It's renews every year until you don't renew it.
My question is, and I don't, not to put you on the spot, do we know roughly ballpark what we pay them?
It was right around 14,000.
Right around 14,000. So this is a little bit more, in my opinion, I like it. I don't like spending money.
Yeah.
But I like it, and I like the fact that they're going to be vested in Gun Barrel.
Yeah.
If we go with them. And the recruiting part of it,
That's separate. Nobody knows the price tag on it yet.
no, but, well, we don't know the price tag on it, but still, I don't know that my personality is going to convince Jersey Mike's to come in here. As much as I love his subs, I tell him I'd eat one every day, but
That's not going
I
to.
think it's something to look at.
Yeah, no, let me say something, and Linda, you can probably back me up, and some others can too. One of the biggest problems that we've had as Gun Barrel City is that entities go out and take a look at us, and they say, oh, you're a town of 6,000 with about a 30,000 income, okay? We're not. We're a market area of 80,000, okay? Or better. We've got million-dollar homes sitting up there on that lake that people that come out here and spend money. I don't have a problem with what Retail Coach does. Do I think we're going to get the same demographics from any company we go with? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that I think as a board and as a city, we know enough. If we get the correct demographics, then we'll know they're the correct demographics, as opposed to just guessing.
Angie,
Gary, the difference is an IKEA approach and a Smith Furniture approach. I mean, we don't want somebody to say, oh, here's all your information, go figure it out.
No, we don't. But by the same token, what happens is that just saying if we go approach, I use the example I use all the time, is that at one of the conferences I went to, I got talking, they had not vendors, but they had site selectors set up. I talked to Sally Beauty Supply. And I said, what's your criteria? She said, well, we want a city with a decent-sized population, but we want an average annual income of $60,000 a year. And I looked at her. I said, then why are you in Gun Barrel City? Because the demographics don't support that. And that's part of the problem we've had all the way through this in marketing the city. They look us up. They see something different. So we need a notarized copy of what our demographics are. That's a lousy way to put it, but that's the only way I can think of to do it.
We
One of the
need the lake.
things- let me share
the lake
this with you,
plex.
please. let me share this with you. Whenever they are going after your demographics, they have a map in the computer system, and you get to pick how you want your map to look. Is it a 50-mile radius around you, or do you want to skew that a little bit and go towards Kaufman, or do you want to skew it and maybe go towards Tyler? So it's how you draw that map in the computer as to how it pulls up your demographics.
Okay.
So we would need to have some input as to how they would go about gathering that.
Agreed. But let me ask you a question, Linda, okay? When somebody's looking at Gun Barrel City, what's a demographic? Do the weekenders count?
Oh, absolutely. Property
Do they fall
ownership.
into, I'm just asking.
It's
I don't,
property ownership.
it's property ownership. Okay.
But it's also
The workforce.
competition in neighboring cities, right? So our Walmart, for example, there aren't a lot of those around. So you go in Walmart on any given weekend and the parking lot is full from end to end and side to side. Well, that's because we have the only one of those. So we just made our market that much bigger. Where's the closest other Walmart?
You've got Kaufman and Athens.
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 Athens and Kaufman.
So 30, 45 minutes to go to a Walmart. So if you live in Maybank, 7 Points, Tool, any Payne Springs, Enchanted Oaks, Eustis, you're probably coming here, right?
Yeah.
Because it's closer for you.
And
So
those are the ones.
That's what, Linda's right. We could make our demographics anything. It could, for this business, switch a little this way, or for this business, like if there's one in Kaufman, we're probably going to pick up more Tyler or Athens people, than we're going to pick up Kaufman people. But that's what these guys do best, right? They provide us that information. I will look at the Placer contract because I understand it's $14,000 and see what that really is. I have not been down that road yet, but I will look at that contract and see really what that is.
And it might be very good numbers for us to move forward with something like this, saying, hey, we're getting more pings than what our demographics show on paper.
Yeah, and all companies are probably going to run something a little bit different. They may not ping cell phones.
Right.
That may be Placer's thing, where these guys are looking more at your entire retail region than how many people drive up and down this street.
Which is the
being
way
your
it
market.
should be, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things that Gun Barrel City, and this is just my own personal opinion, Gun Barrel City should be seldom doing anything just for its own benefit.
Right.
Because we are part of the Cedar Creek Lake area. We are the major hub for Cedar Creek Lake. And that's how we have to think and function.
Yeah.
We do. And that's,
And even the
There's more
report,
bigger homes down toward Trinidad than there is up here, so.
yeah.
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 Even the report, he sent me the report that they did a number of years ago. And even that report looked at the entire community
Okay.
as a whole. It isn't about the 6,000-ish people that live in Gun Barrel City. It's the entire market area that you have to think about.
Well, the question I want to ask is, what good has the $14,000 bought us at this point? I can't put my hands on anything.
I do not know.
And I know what they
But
said, I know
again,
what
in
they said they
fairness-
were going to do. They said that we could
I'm
go
probably
in
not
and
the right
look at
person to
this
ask.
stuff. And I guess they're providing it to Stephen, but it's just not going and doing what it needs. It's not filling its fruition. It's not
Yeah.
going to fruition.
What
One of the big,
does anybody know what we got
we
Hold
have
on.
received,
as a result of the 14,000?
Stephen, can you give
Let
us a little
Stephen
more
talk about
information?
that.
You see the Placer, you and I talked about it, and you said there were some very interesting.
yes, and I can send that report out to all of you guys. Placer has done some interesting things for us that other people just can't do. I know I've heard the name Esri around here. Esri is wonderful, but they cannot provide accurate day-to-day cars on certain roads, like 198 and Main Street here. They can't give us an accurate count. It goes back like 5 years.
Something Placer's doing.
So Placer can go and do that. And like we recently had a business who was looking at coming to Gun Barrel and they were seeing about getting a loan. And they needed to show the bank that, if they put, and I'm just going to throw a hypothetical, if they put a hot dog stand on Main Street, the bank wanted to know that there was going to be enough cars to stop there and go to that hot dog stand. And I was able to hand him the sheet. And any given day, we have anywhere from about 16,000 cars up to 27,000 cars
On a
driving
weekend.
up and down this road. And they also do it a little different. So if like 4 phones are in one car driving down the road, that's not 4 different cars. Since they're all close together, that counts as one person, one entry.
Okay.
So it is a little bit more accurate. And when you compare it to TxDOT's numbers, they're pretty close. So they do provide They all do a little bit different.
Yeah. And potentially, Placer is providing demographic information where the retail coach is providing you your retail market information, right? So there's a little bit of difference in just having those numbers and having those numbers in a way to tell a story,
And having-
which is what the retail coach is.
I have a question.
So what I'm looking at, sorry, Linda, but what I'm seeing is, or hearing and understanding is this company, the retail coach, is actually going to come in and look at Gun Barrel and say, you've got a lot of these, a lot of these.
That's your
a lot of
retail
these,
gap analysis.
And you ain't got none of these.
That's your retail gap analysis,
Which are
yeah.
very are needed.
And they're going to look at the trade area, not just at Gun Barrel, right? So keep that in mind. Retail coach bases theirs around not the Gun Barrel city limits, but the retail trade area. So if our retail trade area is 81,000 people, what are we missing in that hole that you can't get to in 15 or whatever their time is? Don't hold me to this, but what I can't get to in 15 or 20 minutes, what from wherever I live, right?
Right.
That's how the Chili's thing came about. So
Okay.
No, I think the retail coach idea is a good idea. I mean, it gives us more current, up-to-date information, for one thing, which we all need as a marketing organization, which the EDC is. We need it. So that's.
And I agree. I think just to summarize what you're saying is, we're in steps. We first get the demographic study done, and then we come back and see what it's going to take to, using that information, what it's going to take to get them to help us recruit. And I would imagine there are certain levels that you can go through on that.
sure, that's what I believe as well. It was very important to him before Aaron would give me a price on how do you help me recruit, was, Angie, we need to know what your retail market analysis is. Because there may be things that we don't target as well that you need, that I can help you find somebody else to do that, right? This analysis report simply tells us where are the holes in our retail market area.
Okay, Linda, I wanted to go back to something you were mentioning earlier.
Who?
About, Linda, about there are other companies out there that do this same kind of marketing. And do they also do the very end part?
Yes. In fact, there are some site selection companies that we've used before for our retail use and what we've been building. And there are some that are very, very well connected, not only to the major market, but all the way down to a tertiary market like we are. And so that sometimes if you can find a site selection company that is within this area, and like Retail Coach sort of is, you can really hook yourself up with some good clients, some good prospects. So I just wanted to make sure we were thinking about a bigger picture than just Retail Coach.
Okay.
There are a number of companies out there that do this. I just happen to know that they just got out of a contract with our neighbor because our neighbor is going to start doing it themselves, and they have had some success. They have had some success in this community, which makes it even more easy to swallow for me as your director of, I want somebody that knows our area, and they have some history here, and that makes it nice.
And I believe we've got the pros and the cons before us, and I think right now, we're just discussing it to death.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely,
at this
absolutely.
point, at this point in time, I'd like to put it out there for somebody to put a motion to approve the Retail Coach.
I'll make a motion that we approve Retail Coach.
Okay.
Second?
I want to wait until we've researched some more.
Okay, here, this is what I wanted to say. Is this time sensitive?
Kind of, yes. It is very important that this board start the process of, and one of the things that we're working on that you asked me to work on at the last meeting is a workshop where we get our focus back to what is our strategic plan and our objectives. We have some very clear objectives laid out in the comprehensive plan. this is what we have to have before we can start doing those. So while I'm happy to go out and get quotes from everybody and take a look at them and,
Now, this falls below our requirement to get 3 bids. Does it not, isn't it 10?
it would,
10,000?
Right.
yeah.
And am I correct that we cannot get this information from this other one that you have, Placer?
I do
Placer.
not believe, I believe Placer is demographics, not retail trade area.
Okay. All right. So if you want to move forward in a hurry, I'm okay.
I look at it this way, we've spent more than $7,500 and gotten a whole lot less. So I'd like to make a motion that we
I'll
take
give you a
action
second.
to go into an agreement with,
Keith,
Keith, we've got a motion on the floor and we've got a second. Let's vote on it.
we didn't get a second on it.
I just did.
She just seconded it.
Okay.
She just seconded it. Linda gave a second. So we have a
motion-
motion by
The
Gary
motion,
Damiano and a second by Linda Rankin.
After it died.
it died?
Yeah, because we went back into discussion.
I'm
no,
sorry.
it didn't die.
I
think-
have a question, if
Leave
I
it
could.
open.
We're talking about, and this is probably a good idea. Right now, we're looking at trying to clear up our books, get stuff off there that shouldn't be there. So we have a clear area of how much we have to work with. Now, one thing, if we need to eliminate this other one, that's fine. As far as being time sensitive, I don't believe that's the case because there's a lot of people doing this same thing. We can look at this and try to see if it's any better than what we got. As of right now, I don't know if it is or not. I can't see spending more money that we may not have right now. Let's see where we're at first.
Well, what we've got right now
Can-
is going
can
to
I-
expire under its own terms, I think. That's what I'm saying.
Roy, I
Yes.
can't hear you. You're going to have to talk into the mic. But do you mind if
I believe what we have right now expires on its own terms.
Yeah, I will take a look at that. I think, Paul, what I'm telling you is they are two different things. One is just demographics. I truly believe that, and I won't push this through until I know that. But I believe Placer is truly demographics, where this is a retail market report. It's different. It probably uses some of Placer's demographics to generate what your retail area is and the types of businesses, like a full analysis of what we already have and what we're missing. So, there's a sample of that report actually in your packet where they give you a retail trade area. It's the Gerald report. And it shows how many automotive dealers do you have? How many mechanics do you have? How many of all of those businesses? So I think the two offer two different things. If I'm not mistaken, and I did a little research real quick, it looks like Placer is truly demographics, which is great, but that doesn't tell us what we're missing in a retail market, regardless of who we use. I will also tell you that we are in a financial position that we can afford to do this if the board is interested in doing it.
Do you know what our balance is?
I do. We are in a financial position, and you and I will meet one-on-one to talk about that prior to the auditors coming in, but we are in a financial position to do this if we are interested. It will be in addition to the budget, but we are in a financial position that we are able to do that.
Well, help me here. I don't see a downside. I don't see a downside to moving with these folks.
I don't necessarily see a downside. I don't see any need to, if we wait 30 days, what are we going to miss?
And that's a valid
know.
point. That's a valid point. And I was notified by Ms. Rankin that she's withdrawing her second. So we still have a motion on the floor that has not been seconded.
So Gary made a motion.
It did.
We're still
I
waiting for a
think-
second?
Gary, could you repeat your motion, please?
I make a motion that we go with retail coach for $7,500. And
I'll
let me explain
second.
it further, okay? This is a relatively new board, okay? Demographics change over the years with each year. I think we need to get something in front of this board. If you want to call it as a learning experience for the board, go for it. If you want to call it as hardcore information that the board can operate off and make decisions on, or at least set goals as to what we might need from a standpoint of retail, and maybe not even retail, maybe other stuff. It's only, I'm sorry, it's only $7,500. I mean, this EDC can afford it, and it's a good investment, and it puts this board on a good, it's an educational experience for the board, which I think it needs.
Linda, do you want to do you want to second it?
Pardon?
No.
I said, I second the motion.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion?
I got one
Go to my
question.
left.
We got a question down.
I got one question. You said we have the funds to do this.
We do.
What about the, as far as them coming in and helping us recruit? Do we have those funds?
No.
We potentially do have funding to do that, yes. We need to see what that cost is and
Yeah.
what they say we're missing, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a separate package.
Yeah.
In essence, we're getting what we've already got, but getting something in a package we can use.
Right.
That's boiled down into, this is what you need, this is not what you got.
Yeah. What you're getting, I believe, from Placer is demographics, right?
So we
What's
have
the
a motion,
population?
we have a
What-
motion on the table, and we have a second. Hearing no further discussion, vote to my right.
Keith?
Put me on the spot, won't you? Bond, yes.
Legan, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Key, yes.
For the purpose of wanting to look at other companies, I'm going to say no.
No.
The vote is 4-2, yes, motion carries. So we want you to go ahead and move ahead with dealing with the retail coach. Move on to the item number 4. This is the one I thought was going to take the most time, actually. Discuss, take action to form a subcommittee to review the EDC grant and loan programs. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we discuss, take action to form a subcommittee to review the EDC grant and loan programs.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Do you mind if I speak, Roy? I had visited with Roy about putting this on the agenda. As you know, the EDC has grant programs. We have facade grant programs. We have loan programs. And what I would like to do is have a subcommittee, much like the bylaw review, because that's great work that gets to happen behind the doors and bring brainstorming and getting other cities and looking at other EDCs and looking what they do, and having the same for our loan and grant program to make sure that it is the best program and the most up-to-date program. Making sure our loan rates are good rates for what we're lending out, and we're still competitive, but we're not, but 2% loans when banks are loaning 8%, right? So we have some flexibility in there. We may even be able to set some variable loan rates based on what the interest rate is set by the Federal Reserve. So I had asked Roy to put this on there, maybe a working committee of 3, that way they can be meetings, and then there'll be updates at each meeting, much like there was for the bylaw. There is not one at this meeting for the bylaw review because we meet next Tuesday. But that way at each meeting, there could kind of be an update for the board to begin to work on our loan and grant program and make sure that it's still up to standard.
So that I understand, is this same group going to be looking at reviewing each individual request that comes in? We
think
were talking
potentially
about
you
putting
could-
together a,
I think you could potentially do that, Roy, once you kind of get your programs where you want them, then potentially come back and that same committee could be a subcommittee of review. Some of the things that I would ask you to look at is we have tended to, in the past, do some one-offs, right? And they just get approved as they come in, and we're not looking at everybody's needs, but we could do hey, they have to be due on March the 31st, And then in 60 days, we're going to let those folks know who, just some options, that some things that that committee could look at, that subcommittee could look at, to make sure that we're doing best practice.
Yeah, as I understand this particular agenda item, it only talks about the programs, not the packages. That's my understanding, but I also.
That's the way it reads, right? That's the way I understand it. It's talking about looking at what the program's going to be,
Yeah,
but
what the
necessarily.
programs are.
But what necessarily follows that is if you're seeing what the programs are, you got to see how to implement the program. So I think that it only is a natural following to say that once we get it in place, that same committee could be the ones that go and work for it. Whether it's going to be the same individuals, every changes every few months or whatever, we don't know, but that's part of what we need to look at.
I 100% believe that you need, once we get them all lined out, that you need a subcommittee that reviews them on some type of basis, whether that's annual or quarterly or twice a year. Yes, this board needs a subcommittee that reviews those before they come to the entire board and then go to city council.
Yeah, but your approach is correct, or the approach that this agenda has is correct, because you got to get your program straightened out.
Gotta have the programs right
before you
first.
can review something.
Yes.
You know, it's really.
And I don't know if this is relevant, but would that, back 3.5 years ago, the powers that be at that time changed up some of the grants. They combined the facade grant and these other, and I'm just wondering if these committees would want to look at that and see if we need to re-separate them.
It's going to be best practices for loans and grants as a whole, would be my request as the director to
Okay.
the subcommittee, just like the bylaw, really look at it, take it apart and put it back together. I would ask this committee to look at other EDCs, how are they doing it? How are other EDCs in our area doing it? What are best practices today for loans and grants? And they really should be looked at every few years, y'all, so,
Yeah,
to make sure we're doing what people need, right? So,
I think it's nothing but a plus.
yeah, that's the goal. And then potentially to have a group, once you set those guidelines, have a group to get those however often. But I'm not sure just taking them one off as they come in is the best practice, so.
That's a very smart thing to say. We not got to have a plan. We need to plan to plan, then we need to plan to stay with the plan, and then we need to execute the plan. What do we got to do to build that plan? We need to get 3 people together to commit to doing what Keith and the group are doing for the bylaws.
And we will have an agenda item on each meeting
you say?
for that. I said, we will have an agenda item on each meeting for a subcommittee report. There'll be a subcommittee report from the bylaw. There'll be a subcommittee report from the loan and grant committee to give an update.
It's hardwired into.
Could I make a proposal? I would like to see Jay Burson and our treasurer on the committee. And I don't know if I can throw that out there, but we're forming a subcommittee, so I'm putting those 2 on there
That's part of the-
as a proposal.
That I want to make sure that we don't have one group doing all the work. So out of what's left, it's Jay, it's Paul, it's me, it's Charles. And I want to be involved. I want to be involved.
Okay, and you?
So
So that's 3 people.
we don't need to discount Charles. Charles, what do you feel about it?
I'm willing to serve on it.
You want what?
I'm willing to serve on that committee. Be a problem.
I think Linda made a good point on the 3 people that she picked. Or you picked 2, and then Charles was mentioned. I think the more we get, the more involvement everybody has, the more buy-in and the more functional and the stronger this board becomes.
Yes.
So
So can I propose then it be Jay and Paul, Roy, and Charles?
well, I don't think we need 4, because then we've got a quorum.
Yeah, we can't have 4.
Okay,
3.
back to my
We
first 3.
only have 3. I'm sorry?
Yes, you
I
can,
don't-
because
I
I
don't think-
talked to him today,
I don't think that
and
we
he
can.
said he would accept it.
I don't think that we can do that in good conscience, but we can come back the next time.
How about this? Make a motion to form to table the forming of a subcommittee to review the EDC grant and loan programs until we have a full board present.
Who are we missing?
Well, if you,
We-
if you,
we need to move
if you word
forward.
it that way, and the next meeting, I'm not here, that means you're gonna have to wait for another full board.
That's, I understand what Angela's trying to say, but I also,
Well, if we want to do it tonight, that would be Charles and Paul
Ray,
and Roy.
rather.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have somebody as an alternate.
Okay.
So
Actually, you could make Jay an alternate for both boards.
Yeah, put that,
we need to get moving forward on the thing. So, I mean, if I have to, if I withdraw myself because it's just an issue where they want Jay and you want the folks that need to be here, I'll withdraw. I want to be part of it. I think I could bring some good information to it, but that's neither here nor there. So if,
do we have a motion on the table?
Charles, do you want to be on the board?
Sure, I'm willing to.
Charles, Paul, Ray.
Why don't we take Jay and the two of y'all, and I'll be an alternate.
Jay and Charles and myself.
Paul and I have some financial things to work through, so that might be a good idea.
Okay, we have a motion to nominate Charles, Roy Key, and Jay Burson as the subcommittee. Do we have a motion to do that?
I make a motion that we allow those three people to be on the subcommittee.
I think we had a motion on the table.
Sorry?
I think we had a motion on the
There's a
table.
motion on the table
That
that Jay made, that Keith made.
Keith made.
I didn't hear the motion.
Yeah, I did. Ask Keith if he withdraws the motion.
Keith, do you withdraw your motion?
yeah, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. We have a motion now for the vote. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, a vote to my left.
Yes.
Rankin, yes.
Key, yes.
Damiano, yes.
Ligon, yes.
Bond, no.
Motion carries.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
And the motion carries.
Second.